Hello, I'm Ryan F9 and this is Motorcycle Gear of the Future. Number 1. Rider airbags. The first patent for a jacket-based airbag was filed by a Hungarian inventor in 1976. Around the same time, Steve Jobs started a computer company, Sylvester Stallone starred in a boxing movie, and Montreal hosted the Olympics. So I guess rider airbags aren't exactly new, but they're still futuristic because as of today, most of us have never used one. Of course, the MotoGP aliens get their hands on alien technology first. So you'll find the Alpine Star's Tech Air system on half the grid, and most of the other half are sporting Dainese's D-Air airbags. Unfortunately, racing systems are a tad pricey for us Earthlings, but trust the public sector to come up with a cheaper alternative. Helite provides airbag vests to the police in Spain, and Japanese officers have been protected by Hit Air. So what does that mean? On the positive side, it makes us safer. Manufacturers aren't doing a great job of showing it because they keep releasing test videos where the dummy smokes its head on the side of the car while the airbag puffs up into empty space. But the truth is, airbags do prevent neck roll, and they also protect the chest, and I can't deny the fact that makes us safer. But I also have concerns, and I'm worried that rider airbags will eventually become mandatory like they are in cars, and that's a problem because they tend to be hot to wear and they're very expensive. You're looking at a couple $1,000s for the cordless airbag, and even the old school ones, which are triggered by a tether attached to the bike, well, they're north of $5,000. Our next piece of futuristic gear is just landing, and it's called the Smart Helmet. There's a bunch of childish bickering about who came up with the idea first, but LiveMap is whining louder than anybody else. Their domain also goes back the farthest to 2009, so in all likelihood they really did invent the heads-up display motorcycle helmet. LiveMap is trying to make a true heads-up display, a HUD, meaning that your Google Maps, your speedometer, fuel gauge, whatever it is, will be projected onto the visor itself. Well, that allows the image to appear as if it's floating a few hundred meters away, so your eyes won't have to change their focal point between looking at the road and consulting the heads-up display. Problem is, LiveMap is way too ambitious. It takes a lot of space to project onto the inside of a visor, so the current prototype is comically large. They promise it'll look like a regular helmet by the time it ships to consumers sometime next year, but I doubt either of those things are going to happen. Scully was a lot quicker to birth their brainchild. The AR1 was briefly available for about $2,000, the same price a LiveMap is supposed to cost if they actually make one. But Scully gave us a micro display instead of a true HUD, so riders had to focus their eyes away from the road to see the navigation, rear-view camera, and speedometer. It's basically just a Google Glass inside of a motorcycle helmet. The problem with that, other than the refocusing issue I just mentioned, is that the resolution and brightness aren't very good. And put simply, it's hard to see the display on a sunny day. An even bigger problem is that the whole thing was a scam. A recent lawsuit alleges that the Scully founders scuttled $2.5 million of crowdfunded money. Highlights include Lamborghini rentals, strippers, first-class tickets to Hawaii, 2 Dodge Vipers, 4 motorcycles, and an Audi R8. All business expenses, of course. Trust the Germans to take a more practical approach. BMW has put engineers on the job instead of strippers, and they're toying with the same HUD design as Scully, except they're using a micro display that isn't so micro, undoubtedly resulting in better optics. Plus, BMW is sure to make a higher quality helmet, and they're more likely to actually make the helmet in the first place. Another interesting idea worth mentioning is NuViz. Same basic principle, except this is an exterior module that can be mounted onto any helmet. Buffeting, uneven weight distribution, and safety issues aside, I like that this lets me keep my Shoei or Arai or Icon. But despite pulling in $200,000 on Kickstarter, NuViz also welched and has spent the last 2 years hiding from an angry mob of backers. Oddly enough, NuViz recently broke radio silence to promise that they're not dead and 2017 will be the year, this time for real, which makes for a pretty hilarious quote. Senna's smart helmet is the last option worth mentioning. No HUD on this one, just a bit of clever technology that analyzes road noise and cancels it out in real time. The Senna will probably be the quietest motorcycle helmet ever made when it launches. So Schuberth, you might want to start rewriting those product descriptions now. And notice how I said when the Senna launches, not if. We already know the full range of specs, the final design, the Bluetooth add-ons, and the color options. When you're not dicking around with crowdfunded dollars, you don't dick around with production. And the Senna Smart Helmet will be here. Last I heard, they were planning on $1,000 a pop in the summer of 2017. And finally, riders should be on the lookout for bike-integrated gear. By that I mean apparel that exchanges information with the motorcycle to do its job better. Imagine a helmet that extends its spoiler when the bike speeds up. or opens its vents when the motorcycle's thermometer reads above 25 degrees. A new company called Roam has a similarly clever idea. It's a riding shoe that flashes brake and indicator lights. Of course, if we've learned anything today, we've learned not to trust startups like that. But you can expect the big boys at TCX or Alpinestars to borrow the idea eventually. They'd probably execute it better anyway. Their fresh ideas and age-old craftsmanship, it's a winning combination. And that's it for motorcycle gear of the future. Thank you very much for watching.